All right, it's good to see everybody. Hopefully, you guys are doing all right. We got a night of some super duper creepy stories, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's just see who we got in the house. Miss Nisi, it's so good to see you. And yes, we finally got rain. So hopefully, all the corn and stuff that we just planted will take off. That'll be great. It's good to see you and welcome in. And Miss Rachel, welcome in. It's good to see you. Thanks so much. Appreciate you coming in. And appreciate everyone that comes in later on and re-watches later, because I know there's some folks that have things to do and come in and watch later. Well, we appreciate that either way. Couldn't do it without y'all, and hopefully you guys got to watch the video that came out yesterday. A little different style than what I normally do. I've never done a live plant videos, but yesterday we planted corn. So, and then the very next day after I planted that corn, we did our okra and all those tomatoes that I had showed that were all dead on there. We replaced those yesterday. We caught a deal at Home Depot of all things. They had some big, tall, beautiful, healthy tomato plants, and we gave 99 cents, $1 a piece for them. But a lot of them were multiple packs, so we bought like 23 cups and ended up with like 48 tomato plants. So we got those out, and we got some Seven Dust and rabbit repellent, trying to keep all those away from our garden. And of course, it rained, and it's been raining today too, some. So once the rain gets out of here, we got to redust them to keep stuff from eating them. But everything so far seems to be growing good. This rain will definitely cause the corn to take off and everything else we just planted, the squash, zucchini. Still got 6 rows to figure out what we're planting yet, but we're almost done with that until our late summer stuff. Time to start planting that, but we'll be able to start enjoying in the harvest. So, um, got that to look forward to, and I figure I might kind of start digging into this Appalachian folklore book too. There's some things I've never heard of in here, like brooms having superstitions and mirrors, and we'll get into some of that. Welcome in, Daryl. So good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Last week, I it seems like on Thursday I'm just so tuckered out from working in the garden, it just slips my mind from going live. But this week we were at home all day basically because of the rain late yesterday and into the today. So we just kind of hung around the house mostly. Now yesterday I wish that I would have had a thought and took a picture. Uh, I done some good old mountain cooking over at Dad's, and I made one of the best cobblers I've ever eaten in my life. And I've never heard of one like this, but we did some fried potatoes and baked chicken legs and some Brussels sprouts. And then for dessert, this time of year, the blueberries are coming in and the mulberry trees are getting loaded. And somebody had given Dad some strawberries. Well, it's good to see you, Flying Squirrel. Thank you so much for coming in. Well, my goodness, sister, I really hate I hate that. And we sure enough send prayers your way, and hopefully everything in the meantime's going good for you. Oh Lord, I hate that. We're so sorry to hear that. We sure are. I had no idea, but we hope and pray that your family, you know, peace comes after these hard, trying times, because I know they sure are. Uh, Speaking on that, my grandfather actually passed away Monday. Uh, my brother called me. It might have been Sunday, but either way, my brother called me and told me that he passed in his sleep. So I hated to hear that, and I always hate when death comes. But sometimes, like in Grandpa's case, he's so much better off. He's up there with the good Lord, and he's not down here suffering anymore. So, but I still hate it, especially for my grandmother. They were together for 50 years, and I just can't imagine what she's going through. But uh, like I said, we just hope for peace and love for Flying Squirrel and her family there. Um, sure enough. But where was I going now? Let's see. Uh, the garden stuff, like I said, we about got it laid by till it start time to start eating. Um, and then we got a few stories that date from a long time ago, and the video that's coming out. Well, hey Cody, it's so good to see you, brother. Thanks so much for coming in. Uh, Good to see you, brother, and appreciate that. And matter of fact, as he popped in, I was about to talk about next week's story is actually one submitted in by Cody. He had a very special honor of being able to sit and speak with someone whose father passed in the Hurricane Creek uh, mine disaster in 1970. He got to speak with one of the victims' daughters, and we get he. Which thank you so much for thinking of us. Sent her story to us, and we actually have that video completed, and it's going to be up there for next week. Come Wednesday, you guys will get to hear uh, kind of life after the disaster and some strange things that was going on. So you'll have that to look forward to. And I think I'm going to be doing one on out of Kentucky, a different part of Kentucky involving a cave and a TB experiment that went awry. So you guys will have that coming to look forward to, and whatever else we have to get into. And it's so good to have y'all come out. We really appreciate it. But I wanted to dig into our Appalachian Folklore Unveiled book, and it's written by the same person who did the Campfire Stories book. And the one that I want to get into is some superstitions. Welcome in, Tammy. It's good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. Good to see you. But this one is in particular on old mountain brooms. And it says broom superstitions. Brooms hold a special place in Appalachian superstitions and represent a blend of practical beliefs, magical thinking, and cultural traditions. Here are some examples of broom superstitions. In Appalachian weddings, it's a tradition for a bride and groom to jump over a broom together. This act is believed to symbolize their entrance into a new phase of life and is thought to bring good luck, fertility, and domestic harmony. This tradition likely originated with enslaved Africans who, as domestic workers, used brooms often to seal matrimony. Welcome in, Flies on the Coleslaw. So good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate that. Um, Another tradition is placing a broom behind the door or leaning it against the wall is believed to ward off witches and evil spirits. This practice is rooted in historical superstitions about keeping witches from entering homes. And that's evil witches, not granny doctors, because there is a definite difference. There's a superstition that sweeping the house after dark invites bad luck. It was believed that sweeping at night might sweep away good fortune and attract negative energy. Sweeping dirt or dust directly out the front door was considered unlucky. It was believed to sweep away the household's prosperity and bring misfortune. If a broom falls while you are carrying it, it is thought to be a sign of visitors coming. The number of drops may be associated with the number of visitors. So if you're walking through the house and you drop a broom and you keep dropping it, that's supposed to be how many visitors you get coming by. Gifting a broom is considered bad luck unless the recipient gives a coin in return. The exchange is believed to prevent the relationship from being swept away and preserve good fortune, which is very similar to knives. It's an old Appalachian folklore that if somebody gives you a knife, you're supposed to give them a quarter so it doesn't sever or cut ties with the friendship. Some Appalachian households use brooms in rituals for protection. This might involve sweeping out negative energy or creating a barrier against evil spirits. There are superstitions that sweeping a single person's feet could prevent them from marrying. It was believed to sweep away their chances of finding a partner. Which another one similar to that is if you cross a bridge, you're supposed to pick your feet up off the floorboard of the car because it's supposed to prevent you from being married. Let's see. I'm glad you brought the knife deal up. I was about to say it, and you said it first, right? Yeah. Okay. In Appalachian folk magic, the broom has been used as a tool to prevent to for protective spells. Brooms were sometimes hung over doorways or placed in specific areas to ward off evil and negative influences. Bringing a broom outside during a thunderstorm was considered dangerous. Folklore suggested it could attract lightning or negative energy. Broom corn, a type of sorghum, was used to make broom corn dolls. These dolls were believed to have protective qualities and were sometimes placed in homes to guard against evil spirits. So that's some interesting folklore there. There's some superstitions involving animals in this book, mirrors, coins, everyday superstitions. There's some weather omens. So we'll see if we can't mark our place, and we will Let's see. Welcome in, Doc. It's so good to see you. We appreciate you coming in. We'll mark our place here, and the next time we do a live, we'll try to maybe discuss mirror superstitions. So, try to sprinkle a little bit of that here and there. We may even do a video on some of this. Who knows? But I guess we got plenty of folks in here, so I'm gonna get me off this old screen, and we'll sit back, relax, and read this story called "A Werewolf Crashes My Sleepover," and this takes place in San Luis Obispo, California. So y'all sit back, relax, and let's just see what we got here. In a sleepy town of San Luis Obispo, California, a summer sleepover of a group of eighth graders becomes a nightmare when mysterious noises and shadow features invade their night of fun. It says, I live in San Luis Obispo, California. During the time of this horrific event happened, I had just finished the eighth grade. I arranged a sleepover with several of my friends who were all excited for the summer frolities to begin after what had been a long school year, which this is fitting because right now is the end of school. It was a warm night when we settled at my house for what we thought was going to be an evening of pure fun. We arrived with all the proper supplies, sleeping bags, snacks, and an array of movies. The air was thick with the scent of buttery popcorn and the sweetness of sodas. We were all in the living room, sprawled across cushions and blankets, just beginning our second movie and digging into another helping of pizza. One of my friends abruptly shushed me. We looked over at him and surprised and a bit annoyed. I asked a string of I asked with a string of cheese from my slice. Guys, I thought I just heard something come from the back, eyes wide open with concern. My friend was referring to the back of my house where my parents' room and the bathroom were located. My mom was working late that night, but my dad was in our garage working on his bicycle. He loves to ride. I assumed this was what my friend heard. I shrugged it off without another thought. It was just my old man, guys, I assured them, taking another bite of pizza. It was getting late. Blankets of shadows crept in as sunset faded. Night had come faster than anticipated, the darkness outside pressing against the windows like a living thing. I was about to suggest hide and seek when I heard something from upstairs. That definitely couldn't have been my dad because as I looked through the kitchen, I could see the light on in the garage and the top of his head was as he searched for his tools. I have two older sisters, but they had moved out. The noise from upstairs came again, a sharp bark, the kind of sound a dog would make as if it coughed or gagged at the same time. My family members are cat people, so the noise caught me completely off guard, not to mention my friends. We all grew quiet, our ears straining for something other than the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Yet the next thing we heard was very different. Immediately made the hairs on the back of our necks stand straight up. It was the sound of galloping feet, something heavy bolting out of a room, down the hall, and into another room as fast as the wind. The ceiling creaked ominously with each thunderous step. All of us snapped to attention with growing fear of what was up there. My mind went straight to robbers or kidnappers, although I couldn't understand how anyone could have gotten up there without anyone noticing or without performing superhuman feats of strength and agility. This is this also didn't explain the eerie animal sounds. Seconds went by and we just stood there, hearts pounding in our chest, wondering what on earth should we do. The stairs to the second floor were between us and the garage. If we tried to make a run to get to my dad in safety, we put ourselves at risk of revealing our positions to whatever was up there. My friend was the brave one of our party. He took a breath and then stepped straight in front of the stairs. As soon as he did, another loud bark sent him scuttling back to us, his face pale in the flickering light of the television. Dude, there is definitely something up there, my friend whispered, his voice trembling. I saw a shadow in your bedroom door. This meant it was in my bedroom. Great, right? We have to get to my dad, I decided, my mouth dry with fear. As soon as I say go, we run to the garage, okay, guys? Some were reluctant, but most of my friends were in favor of the plan. I counted in barely audible whisper. One, two, three, go! We sprang forward and ran like mad past the stairs through the kitchen and into the garage. I heard the thing snarl, a sound that was neither human nor animal, and saw something dark and large out of the corner of my eye, but I kept running. We spilled and tripped over each other at the garage door as it slammed behind us, echoing in the confined space. Dad stared at us, utterly bewildered, his hands covered in bicycle grease. What's going on here? Is everything all right? We all looked at once, our voices jumbled of fear and excitement, but were stopped when a howl came from outside the house, outside the door. Not the door we had come through, the other door for bringing the car in. I tried to stop my dad from walking over to the window, but he peered out anyway. His face took on a strange expression as he whispered, Guys, I think there's a wolf out here. I looked at him as we thought we had lost our minds. We don't have wolves around here. Why? My dad waved me down to stop talking and motioned us to take a look. We obeyed, and my jaw dropped. We all saw something that kind of resembled a wolf trot away into the darkness, even in the black of night. I thought it looked oddly human. It was tall, lanky, and seemed to favor its back legs when it walked. I could hear my friend's sharp intakes of breath. We slept very little that night, huddled together in the living room, jumping at every creak and groan of the house. The slightest rustle of leaves outside or the distant howls of a dog would send our hearts racing anew. We never found out for sure what it was. Honestly, I don't think we'll ever know. We never reported it to the police, although my friends and I told anyone who would listen. We laugh about it now, but recounting the events alone, I'm still very afraid. I wonder if it was just an animal or what if it was something more paranormal. I will see. Did a werewolf crash my sleepover? The question still haunts me, especially on nights when the moon is full and the shadows seem to move on their own accord, bringing back the memories of that terrifying night. My goodness, what a story! Let me see. There we go. That's creepy. I wouldn't know what to do. Being downstairs watching movies with friends, and all of a sudden you hear something upstairs. Dang. And then when you look outside, it's a wolf. Like, wow. No, we still haven't heard anything. Uh, no emails, letters, anything. I promise you guys, as soon as we find out anything, you guys will be the first to know. But I'm not sure if or when we will, but we will soon as we find out something. We'll let y'all know. We're trying, I promise. Sorry, guys. Hit that with my knee. All right, now let's read a couple of short ones here, and then uh, we'll end it here. But all right, this one is called "The Frail Old Woman." My my parents recently bought a nice house on 180 acres. The house itself is not that old, built in the 1950s, and sits on top of a large hill surrounded by trees. Just recently, we had a rash of strange happenings. One day, while practicing her piano and becoming quite frustrated with a particular feat, my little sister heard a voice behind her say, "Come on, you can do it. Keep trying." She turned around to see a frail old woman dressed in black sitting in a lounge chair. My sister screamed and got Ma and Dad, but the lady was just gone. Not a week later, she was taking a shower in Mom's bathroom when she happens to glance in the mirror only to see a large face of the same woman staring at her. One of the reasons I believe she wasn't lying is because she ran screaming out of the bathroom, no clothes on, into gathering my parents' friends. So she had to be super scared or something because there's no way anybody would do that because that's embarrassing. Over Thanksgiving, while saying grace at the dinner table, our china cabinet and everything in our dining room began to shake violently. much to the dismay of our entire family. During Christmas, we thought it would be fun to hypnotize my sister just for play. She started counting and then started skipping numbers and soon was actually in a different state. It wasn't 30 seconds later that she started screaming at the top of her lungs. That's She's gonna kill me. She's got a knife. Oh my gosh. When my dad finally woke her up, she could only remember the lady with red hair chasing her in our house with a knife. The final blow was just recently. By final blow, I meant it finally convinced those non believers. My father has a favorite leather chair that he sits in and day out. It was in close proximity to a window which my mother opened for some air before a rainstorm. Dad worried about his chair getting wet and told Mom to open the window with his chair there so it won't get ruined. The next morning, Dad was up early for work and noticed that the den had been rearranged so his chair was no longer by the window but instead across the room. Dad left for work thinking that all of the kids did this the previous night. Mom woke up to the same thing and thought Dad had done it. It wasn't until dinner time that we discovered the room had been completely rearranged down to the magazine placement and table leaves, and not by human hands either. We figured it was done between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. in the morning. Not a sound was heard, even though the kids' rooms are directly below the den, and the den floor is hard. Mom and Dad used to brush it off, but not anymore. All right. Here's another little short one that we'll read called The Indian at Grandma's House. When I was a little girl, I remembered the long weekends I would spend at my grandparents' home. One time, I was just about to fall asleep on the hide bed in the living room where I noticed someone out of the corner of my eye. It looked like a man. I looked again and noticed it was a man. He turned and walked toward the hall and then disappeared. Because I was half asleep, I shrugged it off in my sleepiness. A few years later, Mom and I were discussing paranormal experiences we had had, and I told her about the man I saw at Grandma's. She just smiled and said, "That's the Indian in Grandma's house." Only saw him one other time. That time I paid closer attention to what I was seeing, and he definitely was an Indian. Strange. All right, guys, just one more short story and then I'll let y'all go. This one's called A Past Life and Love. My Civil War Soldier. I'm a full believer in the paranormal and that I have lived a past life. The proof I have of my past life is this. My mother, sister, and I all relocated to Pennsylvania a couple of years due to my mother's job. While we were there, we of course traveled around the state. So we visited Gettysburg one year and Philadelphia the next. While we were there in Gettysburg touring around the graveyard, I came upon the grave of an unknown soldier. As I stood over the grave, I felt this deep, deep sadness in my heart and began to cry. I had not felt that way at any other graves throughout the graveyard. It's been something I could not explain for years, and at times it really bothered me. Recently, I was speaking to a woman who has the ability to see our angels and spirit guides around us. I was telling her of another experience which happened in Philadelphia when she mentioned that she saw a Civil War soldier standing beside me. He was tall with dark hair and blue eyes, fully dressed in a gray uniform, definitely Southern, holding a sword. While she was describing him to me, I began to feel that sadness again and also felt extreme happiness, almost being reunited with a past loved one. A few moments later, she had his name, Edward. Together, we concluded that this soldier and I were lovers in my past life. I felt his presence and felt very safe and loved. Since the experience, he has been with me continuously. I feel his presence. Let's see. What a strange story. I wouldn't know how to feel about that. Visiting uh, the graveyard there at Gettysburg and just feeling overwhelmed by sadness. And then visiting another grave in Pennsylvania and feeling happy. And then having someone with some abilities tell you that it was a soldier and that y'all had been together. Like that's crazy. Strange story. But that really does seem similar to like I said, our video that's coming out next Wednesday has some strange experiences with it, and like I said, it's all from the daughter of one of the victims that had passed at the Hurricane Creek mine disaster in 1970. So you guys will have that to look forward to, and uh, not too sure what video will be after that. Like I said, I'm probably going to start tomorrow on writing a story about a cave in Kentucky that involves a TB, tuberculosis experiment that went awry. So you guys will have that video to come up, and uh, who knows, I may film another garden video or something. We'll just see what comes. Really do appreciate you guys coming in and uh, leaving us comments and giving us thumbs up and sharing us out and helping us grow. Still, I just got an email earlier. YouTube's uh, been kind of like really like cracking down on stuff lately. And like a lot of my videos, I keep getting, not all of them, but I keep getting emails saying that this video can never be monetized because I use this or that. But at the time when I made the video, it was fine. So I don't understand like what changed all of a sudden, but there's a lot of stuff that changed apparently because um, they're like going through my channel And it seems like I'm video after video after video. I just keep, can't be monetized, can't be monetized. It's not a copyright strike, but it's saying that it can't be monetized because I used the song. But when I first made the video, the song was fine to use. So I don't understand. Or I know I'm not going to argue with them, because if I do that, that's how people are losing their channels. So, which I don't plan on being monetized on this channel, really, uh, due to some personal reasons, maybe. But I still plan on doing the channel because I enjoy the stories and the things I learned, and getting to share people's stories and experiences, and getting to talk back and forth with you guys, and having people sending in their stories. And I just really appreciate all the stories that we do get. Thanks to Cody and Niecy and David Blair and Miss Jana, and on and on and on. So, really appreciate it. Like Cody says, I just do it for the history because I learned so much. And come to find out, back when last year maybe, I did a story on a person from Alabama here that was, you know, thief, robber, old mountain robber, train robber named Rube Burrows. Well, it come to find out he's actually kin to me, because my third or fourth great grandmother was a Burrows. So, small world anyway, getting to do some stories, and some of them turn out to be friends, be family. Uh, what is the name? Um, let's see if I can find that. What is her name? Right here. Grace Sherwood, the Witch of Pungo. That story was covered by Dixie After Dark. Well, she turns out to be like my, I don't even know, ninth, I believe it's my ninth great grandmother, who was convicted of witchcraft in Pungo, West Virginia, I think it is. And in that particular state, they didn't hang witches for witchcraft. They just did. They did trial by water, of course, whether if you float, you're guilty. If you sink, you're innocent. Well, she floated, and she spent 10 years in the penitentiary, and then when she got out, she went to nuns, the Catholics, and became a nun. So that was covered by him, and I thought it was really neat. And I've been kind of doing research on some of my family through the Family Search, uh, which is a free like website to do with family. And uh, I tell you something else. The singing cowboy Gene Autry. My great grandmother's father and mother adopted him as a child. So he's adopted into our family, and I don't even know who all. I mean, we just got so many people involved with all this stuff. Yes, I am, Miss Niecy. I am talking about the TB hospital in the cave in Kentucky. I'm going to be doing that story. I'm starting on that tomorrow. Uh, I'm going to be doing some research and covering that story. There was a TB hospital in the mountains in a cave in Kentucky that did not go as planned. So we're going to get into that and dig up that whole story and see what we can find out about it. So, like I said, that'll be coming up in probably 2 weeks, not this Wednesday, but the next one, and we'll just see what we get into. So, oh, really? Now that's neat. I've actually been to that cave when I was a kid, like little kid. I was probably 10, 11 years old. We visited a tobacco farm and we got to go to that cave. So that's cool. But anyway, guys, I want to thank y'all for coming out, participating, and helping us uh, enjoy these stories. And y'all remember Flying Squirrel. Uh, just remember her because she's went through a tragedy, and life after losing a spouse it's life altering, and it's really hard for the whole family to get over. Just pray for them to have peace. So yeah, I want to say I've heard of that too. uh, a gas station inside a cave. I don't remember where it was at, but I've heard of it. But anyway, guys, I hope y'all have a really amazing rest of your week and weekend. And we plan on seeing y'all next week if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. And I guess until then, we'll see y'all later. Bye, everybody. Thank y'all so much for coming. Have a good one.